Let's learn a little about four Salvationists who had different talents, spiritual gifts, personalities, and dreams. Each of them was used by God for His glory and the good of the church. First, let's learn about Henry Garapi. Colonel Henry Garapi was the Salvation Army's national editor-in-chief and literary secretary. He was in the appointment for his last 15 years as an officer, which gave him the opportunity to do what he did best: write. Colonel Garapi loved to write, read, learn, teach, and encourage others to write. In addition to writing about theology and Salvation Army history, Colonel Garapi loved listening to people's stories and putting them on paper so others could read them. This included the biographies of Commissioner Israel Gaither and General Eva Burroughs. He wanted to encourage others throughout the Army world to write, so he started the first ever International Literary Conference, set up the National Book Plan in the U.S., and began the Word and Deed Journal. Overall, Colonel Garapi wrote 25 books and contributed to at least 40 more, which is more than any other writer in Salvation Army history. For this ministry that used his gifts and talents, Colonel Henry Garapi was presented with the Order of the Founder, the highest honor presented to a Salvationist. Lieutenant Colonel Damon Rader felt called to be a Salvation Army officer when he was in high school. He also thought about being an engineer and working in radio, so he majored in math and earned a teaching degree in college. He also felt called to serve in Africa. Damon worked in television in Cincinnati and radio in Pittsburgh. He received a master's degree in electrical engineering from Carnegie Tech and then went on to become a Salvation Army officer. He and his family moved to what is now Zimbabwe, where he produced programs for the National Broadcasting Corporation. With the help of Mission Aviation Fellowship, he was able to help other mission groups in Southern Africa set up recording and broadcasting studios. In Chikinkata, Zambia, Lieutenant Colonel Rader helped the Salvation Army build a recording studio from the ground up. It was used to produce Christian programs for national radio, eventually becoming known as Salvation Radio, a broadcasting studio. Lieutenant Colonel Damon Rader also received the Order of the Founder for his work with missions and Christian radio. William Himes, known to most as Bill, has always loved music education and performance. While he was in college, he toured with two contemporary music groups, which led him to discover his passion for evangelistic music. He believes the music that matters most is music that brings people to Jesus. Bill is a composer and a lyricist with credit for more than 140 publications. He was the bandmaster of the Chicago Staff Band and the territorial music secretary for 27 years. He is known for his humor and his lightheartedness in music and ministry. And he has a legacy of creating music that brings people to Jesus. Carol Jadas is a Salvationist from the USA Eastern Territory who believes God often uses your talent to put you in places where you can use your spiritual gifts, places you may never imagine. God chose to use Carol as a missionary in the New York theater scene, performing in Broadway's musical Cats for 5 years. She glorified God on Broadway and then used her experience as the director of special events for the Salvation Army's territorial headquarters in the East. Through that role, she helps glorify God by providing Christ-honoring dramatic arts, resources, and training to equip the kingdom of God and spread the good news of the gospel. These four Salvationists used the gifts and talents God gave them, whether it was writing, recording, music, or performing, to further the ministry of the Salvation Army. Of course, these aren't the only things that God can use. He created us with exactly what He wants us to use to bring Him glory. What gifts and talents do you have that you can offer back to Him?